All right, I hope you're all having a good Saturday. This is the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. Yesterday, the 49ers signed wide receiver Willie Snead, and today they added to the roster again at a position of importance and an area of need, signing veteran offensive tackle Jordan Mills to a one-year contract after he worked out with the team this week. Aaron Wilson breaking the news. Just some background on Jordan Mills, fifth-round pick of the Chicago Bears back in 2013 out of Louisiana Tech, and you may have not have heard of him recently, but he actually does have a lot of NFL experience as a starter, and when he was a starter, solid, nothing special, not like he was a Pro Bowler or All-Pro, but a lot of NFL experience, 100 NFL games throughout his NFL career, which included 87 starts. Now, a bulk of those starts coming at the start of his career. 16 games started as a rookie, 13 starts in his second year, third year only played in 10 games, but through 2016 to 2018, started 16 games each season, 3 starts in 2019, didn't play in 2020, and then last year with the New Orleans Saints played in 10 games with only 3 starts. So the bulk of the experience has happened previously as compared to the last couple of years. Now, you watching right now probably asking, why would the 49ers make this signing? Well, we've been talking about this offensive line all throughout the offseason and the concerns there along that unit outside of Trent Williams, because aside from Trent Williams, there are question marks. Aaron Banks at left guard, who's going to be the starting center, Jake Brendel or Daniel Brunskill at right guard right now. Up to this point, it's been the rookie fourth-round pick out of UTSA and Spencer Burford, but Mike McGlinchey, coming off that torn right quad from a year ago, that's a really serious injury. And behind him, they don't really have a backup prototypical right tackle. There are some concerns about McGlinchey coming off that injury because he's just north of 300 pounds, still has to add some weight there. But Jaylon Moore is technically the backup right tackle. The 49ers really want him more so to play guard and being an interior offensive lineman as compared to being a tackle. So he's better slotted as a guard as compared to a tackle. That's where the 49ers want him, and that's where the signing of Jordan Mills comes into play here. They had to bring in tackle insurance. Will Jordan Mills make the team? I'm not sure. Maybe as a second stringer, probably not. But they spent a draft pick last year on Jaylon Moore. Did a couple of decent things throughout the preseason and the regular season. But I think it's become clear up to this point that even though he has that great size at 6'5", 6'6", and he's a huge, massive human being, he's better on the interior playing guard as compared to right tackle. And if Mike McGlinchey were to struggle, if Mike McGlinchey were to go down and you turn to Jaylon Moore, who's better on the interior of the offensive line, then that's another area of concern along the trenches for Trey Lance, who's entering the first year as a starting quarterback, as an experience, and you want to do the utmost to protect him, because if you don't, then he gets injured, his confidence goes downhill, you can't get that ground game going, and then you're not able to matriculate the ball downfield through the run game or the pass game. So if McGlinchey were to go down, if he were to struggle, if Jaylon Moore were to fill in, and it becomes more and more clear that he's better at the guard spot as compared to tackle, then you go with Jordan Mills, who has 100 games of NFL experience and has started 87 games throughout his career. With that, I do want to ask you this, and I want to hear from everybody in the comment section right now, no matter where you are or how you're watching. Are you concerned about the offensive line? I want you to type Y for yes or N for no. This has been the biggest concern for me throughout the offseason, going into the preseason and regular season, because there's not a lot of high-end talent outside of Trent Williams. Mike McGlinchey has to prove a lot going into this critical year, going and coming off that injury. Outside of that, a lot of inexperienced players, and then at that center spot with Brendel and Brunskill, they're just completely unproven up to this point, so let me know. More on Mills, 31 years old, has some really good size, 6'5", 315 pounds. It's going to be a one-year contract. The same can be said for Willie Snead as well. Before we get to another interesting talking point that I want to bring up to round out today's show, I hope you stay tuned for it because it is pretty intriguing and interesting. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Not at the Chat Sports Studios today with all the fancy graphics. I'm off, but I'm never off, right? Because I love talking football and interacting with the Niner gang. Make sure you subscribe when breaking news happens. We'll push out a video. When there's a big news item out there, rumors, analysis, we have you covered. North of 60,000 subs, so join the faithful family here at Chat Sports. Wanted to talk about this. So I'm starting to do more and more prep for the upcoming 2022 season, not just for San Francisco, but all teams across the NFL, because my job at Chat Sports, in addition to the 49ers report, covering the NBA, covering the NFL as a whole. And I'm looking at Warren Sharp's preseason preview, and I thought this was pretty interesting. Last year's positional rankings by position for San Francisco. Quarterback at 19, offensive line was 9, running back was 26th, wide receiver surprisingly at 2, the front 7, which consists of the defensive line and the linebackers at 7, and then the secondary 21st, head coach at 8th. A couple of takeaways from that. Jimmy Garoppolo came in at number 19. Of course, he did miss 2 games. Trey Lance started 2 of them. So it's a combination of Garoppolo and Trey Lance. But quarterbacks checking in for San Francisco last year among all teams in the NFL at 19. You're thinking, okay, can Lance improve upon those rankings and make this offense just a little bit better? I think he can. I think this unit can be more explosive. I think this unit can be more diverse because Trey Lance offers a bunch of things that Jimmy Garoppolo can't bring to the table. Deep ball threat. He can complete more throws on the football field and give you more vast options in the pass game from sideline to sideline, but also stretching the field up and down vertically. And then also what he gives you from a running standpoint, not only for him, but adding a different dimension to the run game as a whole because of the deception and the lack of defenses being able to predict and point out what the Niners are going to do when they run the football. Read option, outside zone. I think the 49ers offense becomes more explosive and less predictable this upcoming season. So can they get better from 19th? I think so. Offensive line, definitely the biggest concern on this team and the biggest question mark. Last year, the 49ers ranked 9th in the NFL as an entire offensive line unit. I do expect that unit to go down. So maybe you get worse on offensive line. Running back, surprisingly 26th, but this year they should be much better. Elijah Mitchell added weight, added muscle. He's been having a good camp up to this point. I expect him to run for more than 1,000 yards, and last year, rushing yards per game, he was top 10 among all backs. Ty Davis Price, Trey Sermon, also adding to that unit as well. So let's say that San Francisco is better than 26th this upcoming season. Wide receiver, second, surprisingly high. That's with Deebo Samuel having just an all-around terrific, insane, one-of-one year. If he doesn't necessarily play as good as he did last year, but plays pretty solid, but Brandon Ayuk breaks out in 2022, could that unit stay about the same? Maybe. I do expect them to regress a little bit, but not significantly or sizably. The front 7, I think San Francisco, from last year, they were number 1. They're even deeper this year, so they could be right around that range too. Secondary, much improved. 21st in the National Football League a year ago. Charvarius Ward is your number 1 corner. He's had an awesome camp. Emmanuel Mosley's been playing really well. Ambry Thomas has been bad. But at that safety spot, Jimmy Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, Tarvarius Moore, all those guys are playing good. And that's in the secondary, right? So I do expect San Francisco to improve there as well. And then Kyle Shanahan, say what you want about him from a win-loss perspective. 2 NFC title games in 3 years. Super Bowl appearance back in 2019. After starting 3-5, they had a great run to finish off the season. They finished the year with 10 wins. So that's really just a great run for Kyle Shanahan with some of the adjustments that he was able to make and how that offense played. D'Amico Ryans, this isn't even considered in these rankings, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, and he's going into year 2. So that unit can improve upon what it did last year. And then you go back to Shanahan. Went on the road, took down the Dallas Cowboys on the road as underdogs in the wild card round, and then in the divisional round, went on the road and took down the number 1 seeded Green Bay Packers. Those are 2 huge wins for Kyle Shanahan's resume, and the way that San Francisco ended the year was big for Kyle Shanahan going into yet another year in which they have lofty expectations and can be a Super Bowl contender. Yes, they lost that 17-7 lead in the NFC Championship game, but the Los Angeles Rams were a great team last year. So I brought that up because San Francisco has the ability to be better in 2022 as compared to what they did last year. And that's why a lot of people should be excited about this football team. And I just can't wait for preseason football to come around next Friday, opener against the Green Bay Packers, regular season not shortly thereafter that, because we finally get to see what this team can bring to the table and what they're going to be capable of. So that does it for today's show. If there's any big news item to come out of practice today as San Francisco is on the practice field currently, I'll definitely push out a video. And, of course, we'll continue to keep you up to date with all things Niners right here on the channel. Appreciate all of you for watching today. If you're a real one, a subscriber, and you made it this far, show me by typing real one right now, and I'll catch you next time.